Okay, opponent's going for face. I think they really should have killed Tinybones there. Since now they're just dead on board. And we get to win it with Tinybones. Nice. Sort of a refreshing victory there. Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you are all having a fantastic morning, day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are and whatever you are up to. Today we are back playing some best of one in Historic, but before that, I just have a few quick channel updates for you. Just to let you know, I upload a new video every single day. On Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, we have Standard and Historic. We're usually playing something wacky, new, interesting, or something that I want to revisit because I like the list for some reason. I tend to lean more towards Historic, but we play Standard as well. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will be continuing with our mini-series on the channel with how viable is Control in the Historic meta. And we've done quite a few of these already. Jeskai, Esper, Grixis, Azorius. So if you are a Control player or enjoy watching Control gameplay, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, come and stop by. And if you don't like Constructed at all and you love drafting, then boy have I got news for you. Every single Saturday and Sunday we'll be drafting all weekend, every weekend. So 2 or 3 videos posted up over the weekend of our best drafts that we're playing. And if you want to come and interact with me live, then head over to Twitch at Radio Magic and you can come and interact with me. Come and say hello, let me know how you're getting on, what's your day been like, and if you've been enjoying the videos, and what's your favourite lists at the moment? Have you had any sick drafts that you've played recently that you want to come and share? So, yeah, if you're in the mood to come and have a chat and kind of just hang out, then yeah, Twitch Radio Magic, there'll be a link in the description down below. But yeah, channel updates over, let's go on to the deck list. So, for people who don't know, this is Mono Black Discard / 8-Rack if you're playing in Modern. 8-Rack is a list that's built around the Rack and Shrieking Affliction, and we are hoping to replicate that in Historic today, best of one. If you guys know what all of these cards do, or you've seen 8-Rack played before, or you know what Mono Black Discard is, then don't hang around, don't go to the deck tech, unless you want to just hear me explaining all these cards. Maybe you find that entertaining. But if not, go down in the description down below, and you will find a load of timestamps, no spoilers, and head over to the games you want to see. They're all particularly labeled, so go down there and check that out. You can also find a deck list down there as well in case you wanted to try the list out for yourself. But yeah, let's go over the list real quick and move on to some games. On the 1-drop slot we have 3 Fatal Pushes. This is our creature removal, our instant speed way to target creatures. It's switched on with our Fable Passages. Not quite as good as Eternal formats when you have fetch lands, but Fatal Push is still outstanding, and we're definitely going to play as many as we can fit into the list. We're then running 4 Thoughtseizes, arguably the strongest play in Historic you can make on turn 1. It also just synergizes with the list so well. If you're not playing 4 Thoughtseizes in an 8-Rack list, then you are a mad man. We're then running a slightly new edition with Tinybones, Trinket Thief. Tinybones is one of my 3 favourite cards in the list, along with Waste Not and Nixophid. Tinybones is a skeleton legendary creature rogue. I read that really awkwardly, but yeah, a 1/2 that at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, you get to draw a card and we lose a life. So let me say it again. If they discard on any turn, we draw and lose a life. I don't know why that was so complex. And we can spend 6 mana to 10 our opponent if they have no cards in their hand. So Tinybones is a card draw engine, and it's a win con, all built into a creature little package. So what's not to love? And we'll go over some further synergies with him in a minute when we move on to some of the other cards. We're then running 4 Waste Not, something that I loved playing when I played 8-Rack in Modern. It's a 2 mana enchantment that whenever an opponent discards a creature card, we get a 2/2 zombie. Whenever they discard a land, we get 2 black mana, and whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land, we get to draw a card. So Waste Not puts our opponent between a rock and a hard place. You can either keep them cards in hand, and we can make you discard them and get the Waste Not triggers, or you can empty your hand and we can 10 you with Tinybones. So it's up to you. You can pick to lose, or you can pick to lose. That's the position we're going to hopefully try to put our opponent in today. We're then running another part of the rack, or the way we're going to assemble the rack in Historic, with Davriel, Rogue, Shadow Mage. This actually typically shows up in Modern rack lists in some number as well. A 3 mana legendary planeswalker that starts on 3 loyalty. No uptick, but it does have a downtick. Target player discards a card, and then its static ability is essentially a rack effect. If your opponent has 1 or fewer cards in their hand at the beginning of their upkeep, it deals 2 damage to them. So this, we don't really want this in large numbers. That's why we're only running 2 of these. But this is going to close the game for us later on. And once we have put our opponent into top deck mode, and maybe we have a removal spell like a Soul Shatter, Davriel's going to take over quite quickly and ping our opponent down. And compare that with like Tinybones. Yeah, it's going to close the game quite quickly. We also have another Planeswalker in the list that is also similar to Davriel, but a little bit more utility, so we're running her in some higher numbers. We're then running 3 Elspeth's Nightmare as sort of a not great at anything, but good at everything. So it can destroy a creature with power 2 or less. There's quite a few targets in the format for this. Maybe our Fatal Push, we don't have one of them in hand, or we need Fatal Push and Elspeth's Nightmare. And its second lore counter, say we're playing against control and the first one's completely dead, then we can duress our opponent for 3 mana, suspend 1. So sometimes this is pretty good, and we just want to get the 3 mana duress, and sometimes we want to kill a creature, and sometimes we want to do both against like Gruul aggro. And the final lore counter to exile target opponent's graveyard does come up from time to time. There are a few Uros running around, Jun's Sacrifice is a thing, but Elspeth's Nightmare really shines in best of 1, I think, so we're running some number of them, and the discard on it just makes it relevant. We were then running 2 Soul Shatters, partly because of our mini-series at the moment, How Viable is Control. I've been playing Soul Shatters, and I've been extremely impressed with them. I don't think they're going to be as good in this game, just because of the way the deck's built, but we're still playing some number of them just to test them out, because I'm really hot on this card at the moment, so yeah, we're going to give that a try. We're then running 2 Nixafids, another one of my favourite cards, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, but I'm trying my best. A 3 mana 7/7 that when it ETBs you choose an opponent. I know what you're thinking, 3 mana 7/7, what is happening here? That's so strong, but don't worry, there is a little bit of a downside. Nixafid gets -1/-1 for each card in the chosen player's hand, so hopefully our opponent's going to have none or 1 card in their hands. This is going to be a 3 mana 6/6 or 3 mana 7/7 a lot of the time, which you can't really argue with. Pretty good. You have to be really careful in case your opponent can draw a load of cards and kill Nixaflid for free, since if they get 7 cards back in their opening hand, he will die. I have actually seen this happen a few times where your opponent is like, Nixaflid, for example, is on like 5 power, and your opponent double lightning strikes it, and you go, actually, opponent, you're now 2 cards left, 2 cards less in your hand now, so it goes up to a 7/7 and actually survives. So a bit like Tarmogoyf, Nixavid can throw off them burn spells. So yeah, interesting to see. Unburden is another reason that I'm excited to play this list with an update over our 3 mana discard, because now we get to cycle it for 2. So if Unburden becomes irrelevant in the late game, we can cycle this away and draw a new card, because sometimes you're in the late game, your opponent's going to have no cards in hand, and when you top deck an Unburden or a Thoughtseize, it feels really bad. At least now we have something to do with that. Our board wipe of choice is Extinction Event, something that, I don't know, probably the best board wipe in black, I'd say. It's either this or Languish you're playing, but I like this because it exiles, and Uro is still a thing. And Languish kills all of our creatures. I guess Nixafid kind of dodges it, but Tinybones still dies to it, so I thought, what the hell, we'll go with Extinction Event, that's just the one I'm choosing. We're then trying a new removal spell, which I have no idea how it's going to do, but we don't get to play Mono Black that often, so we're going to try out Tendrils of Corruption, a 4 mana instant that deals X damage to target creature, and we gain X life, where X is the number of swamps we control. So bar 2 lands, all of our lands are swamps, so Tendrils will hopefully gain us quite a bit of life. If we're looking at 4, 5, or 6 life, then I'm pretty happy with that, and against aggro, that might be all you need to close the game away. So we're going to give this a shot and see how this works, and hopefully give it an evaluation at the end. And then our other rack effect / planeswalker / removal spell is Liliana, Waker of the Dead, a 4 mana legendary planeswalker. Liliana, she's back with 4 loyalty, and we can +1 her for each player to discard a card. So it is symmetrical discard, and then each opponent who can't loses 3 lives. So this is sort of a worse rack effect, but you get combined on a planeswalker, so she can also minus to kill creatures. And her emblem doesn't really read I win the game, but I've never really ultimated this. I think I've done it once since she's been legal, and it was okay. Yeah, it won me the game, but we're not aiming to activate the -7. We're looking at the +1 and the -3 to 8 rack our opponent out and sort of kill some of their key threats. And the mana basis is pretty bog standard. We're running some Castle Lochthwains, as 8 rack normally struggles when you're both in top deck mode, and we top deck typically worse than our opponent top decks because all of our stuff is hand hate and our opponent's playing out their cards. So Castle Lochthwain is hopefully going to break that stalemate open. We're then running 19 swamps to trigger our tendrils mainly, and some Fable Passages for our Fatal Pushes, because we want to trigger Revolt sometimes, and Fable Passage into Fatal Push is an absurd play, especially when you're killing a 4-drop, so pretty mental. But that is 8-rack / mono black discard. I love this list. This was my first modern list that I ever played. This was the first list that I built, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. So we're going to hope to relive some of that memories and take a trip down memory lane and enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoy 8-rack as much as I do. If you did enjoy the video, or you are enjoying the video, or you think you're going to enjoy the video, maybe consider dropping it a like and subscribe. Do whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, overall, before that, just enjoy the games, and I'll catch you again at the end with the wrap-up. Okay, mono black discard in historic, and I think this looks okay. We have one of our 8-rack sort of pieces. We have a Nixalid. Yeah, this is fine. A way to sort of trigger the Nixalid and some more just hand hate. We're going to keep this. Also, Four.Vs on the play is enough to keep. So yeah, just going to Four.Vs here. We could leave up Fatal Push, but I think turn 1 Four.Vs is too strong. Okay, so Jund discard. Probably take the Mayhem Devil, and then we can just push the Priest and leave our opponent with a Goose. Could play the Tinybones. I think I'd rather just push. Okay. So I think I just want to play the Nixafid. It's going to be a little bit small. Actually, we could set up Tinybones for next turn. We don't need to play our threats out just yet. Also, if we draw land, then it'll be good for Liliana. Just discard the Unburden. So, Trailer Crumbs is going to be good for like different reasons. It's a good card advantage engine for our opponent, but it's always going to give them something to discard, which is going to trigger our Tinybones and our Waste Not when we find it. I think overall it's bad, since we want to run our opponent out of cards, put them in top deck mode. Okay, so land it is. So we could discard this Unburden, and I think we're going to. We only need to get one trigger off the Tinybones each turn, and I'd rather set up the Liliana. We also put another card in our graveyard for what it's worth. So we might just kill this next turn. We'll see what we draw though. Okay, so opponent's gonna dig now. Maybe in the hopes of drawing something they can do now, like cat. Okay, priest instead. So I could just see doing even on Extinction Event and wiping away both priests. And then we could minus on the goose so our opponent doesn't have the trail combo anymore. We lose our Tinybones, but I think that's okay. And then we have Nixafid next turn. We could have made our opponent discard the cat, but I think it's fine. Without Oven, the cat isn't too threatening. We also have our castle, so we might be able to outdraw our opponent in a stalemate. So this is like exactly the position we want to be in. Second Nixifid is pretty good. We can stop our opponent from chump blocking, but I think just dealing them free is fine. Now our opponent's in a pretty bad situation. Yeah, good game, opponent. So yeah, Jund sacrifice. We sort of managed to just dismantle what they were doing quick enough. They weren't able to deploy their threats. Okay, mono black discard on the draw, exactly where we want to be, and this hand looks really good. We're missing one of our discard payoffs. We have Dabriel, but something we kind of want to draw late game. I guess there's a Nixifid. So probably just going to play the... I guess we can save the Fable Passage. There's a Mind Stone. Maybe we're against Doom Foretold. I think this might actually be a place to just get the Dabriel down. Okay, so Oath, Kai's Wrath. Maybe they're just not running Wrath of God, or they want more than 4. Or the life gain's like particularly relevant. So I make our opponent discard again. Get our value out of Davriel. And probably just going to play Elspeth's Nightmare out. If our opponent wants to play out Doom Foretold next turn, then we have something to sacrifice. But if not, we can just duress our opponent next turn. 3 mana, suspend 1 duress, okay? So they're going to take that. I guess we can just Fatal Push this. It's if a creature... Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what Fatal Push does. For some reason, I had a lapse of sanity. We could just empty our opponent's hand here. I think leaving them with 1 card is okay. We'll have a look. See what they discard. Yeah, let's just get rid of all of their cards. I think I'm fine with that. I decided to keep the Solemn. Probably rather just thin the deck. And they top deck to Solemn. Nice. Okay, Unburden effectively useless here, but this is where we're going to see the benefit of it. Being able to cycle. So just land for our opponent. Nixifid goes up to a 7/7. So we're swinging for 10 here. So I'm probably just going to leave this land in hand. So we'll attack now. If our opponent chumps, we can draw. They draw a card, and we can make him discard it with the Liliana. Unless it's obviously instant speed. They could draw off the Mind Stone to save it if it was that important. And we'll discard the Swamp. Opponent's just going to discard it? Sure, yeah, that makes sense. But our opponent's got to draw something now. Otherwise this Nixifid is just going to eat our opponent. What are they on? Are they on just life gain? That makes sense as to why they're playing Kai's Wrath. So can we just kill our opponent here? Not quite. So chump block. So our opponent should be dead next turn. Yeah, that should be game now. Opponent's going to scoop it up there. Nixophid coming through. Who would have thought such a powerful threat? Okay, mono black discard on the play, and I think we're going to keep this. We're going to play this Thoughtseize on turn 1, even though it triggers really well the Waste Not, because we have 2 free drops that care about discard. Ooh, and we get to nab our opponent's Thoughtseize, but opponent has a lot of good threats here. No point taking a Knight, and this Scourge probably isn't going to be too relevant for a while. The Soul Shatter can mop it up. So we like really need to draw land. Ah, opponent top deck to Thoughtseize. They just take the Waste Not here. Or they take the 2 for 1. I guess Davriel and Unburden both does the same thing. So I really want to draw untapped land next turn. At least our opponent didn't get down a Knight. Guess they get to go double Knight here. No, just going to go Scourge. That is unfortunate. Looks like we're going to get some triggers off this Waste Not next turn, though. It's going to play triple Knight here. I guess this doesn't produce black. And then they lose their last 2 cards to Unburdens. So, yeah, probably just Unburden here. And see what our opponent's last card was. Just 2 creatures. So, I feel like we're in an okay situation now. Having a removal spell and a castle makes me feel good. Probably going to have to take a 4 off this Scourge this turn, and we can answer it next turn with the Soul Shatter. So we go like this. Our opponent gets to pump 1 and loses the other. So our position isn't great, but we're okay. So Tinybones is okay. I guess we just Soul Shatter now. Since our opponent could then sacrifice it to Phyrexian Tower to potentially trigger their Knight an additional time. We're chump blocking with a zombie here, so we'll hold back. And then we could just start activating Tinybones as of next turn. If our opponent's not really careful, they could just be dead. So yeah, we'll chump block. This is a land. Our opponent's really got to keep this in hand. Okay, so opponent's like 1 off of lethal. So yeah, we can't quite kill our opponent. So I guess we draw. I guess we can see what our opponent does. I guess we have to activate Tinybones now if we want to 10 them. I think we're going to 10 them. It's not often you get to 10 your opponent. Yeah, they've got to stay back on defense, and they have to hold this card in hand if it's not an answer to this Tinybones. So I guess let's play the land out first. So we only take 1 damage. No, it's all falling apart. So our opponent probably just goes for it here. I guess there'll be one short. But we have to chump block. So Davriel off the top would be really good. Discard effects. Nixafid kinda doesn't save us, really. We can't activate Castle because we'll... So 5/5. If we activate Castle, we're dead. So we got to activate Castle after they go to combat. After they declare their attacks. Opponent's gonna smack us for 2. So now we can activate Castle. But not looking good. I think our opportunity to take over the game. We got our opponent to 1. Gonna need something off the top. So yeah, I think this is gonna be our last draw now. Not quite. Got quite close. I guess we got to 10 our opponent. That's what we wanted to do. 8 racking them out. Okay, we are on the play with Mono Black Discard in Historic, and this is going to be a mulligan. No way to make the Nixafid bigger. This hand looks better. Wonder, probably put the Nixafid on the bottom. As much as I love it, not really a hand. Maybe it's Tendrils. But if we're against like a creature deck or an aggro list, we're going to need this for some life gain. Opponent mulliganed as well. Probably just going to go fetching. Okay, isolated chapel. Hindsight's 2020. Should have put the Tinybones on the bottom. Oh, Clerics. Nice. Love to see some Clerics. Let's make our opponent discard some cards. And this Tendril should be able to get the Clerics of Life Bonds next turn. And we get to draw a card off the Tinybones. So Unburden replaces itself. Nice. So got rid of a Blood Artist and a Blight Priest. So opponent's got some nice drain synergy going on. They get to Fatal Push. We have a spare Tinybones though. So probably just deploy our threats here. And save Tendrils for next turn. Then our opponent needs to kind of stay empty-handed. Okay, so last Fatal Push. The fact our opponent didn't have like an extra Cleric next turn makes me think they didn't have another one. Obviously, we have been corrected with Veto. But we're just going to take out the Cleric next turn. Cleric of Life's Bond. Our opponent might have the combo piece. Well, I guess that changes actually. So we're both in top deck mode. Opponent gets to top deck first. We have one more land. I don't know if that's going to be relevant. Four.Vs, not too relevant. This is the problem with 8 rack in any format, is that when your opponent's empty-handed, most of your top decks are quite poor. Yeah, and double Four.Vs is pretty poor. I think we just draw now. Okay, just gonna cycle this Unburden. It's one of the benefits of running Unburdens. Unfortunately, these Four.Vs are going to lose us quite a bit of life, because the castle, we can't really get rid of them. I guess that saves us a little bit of life. But if our opponent has like a removal spell in hand, these Four.Vs might be able to nab them. Like Priest. So we're going to take 3 here to draw something. But it will just be a land. And another land. So fall into 3. Hanging in. So castle's no longer active. And land's going to kill us. Good game, opponent. So yeah, double Four.Vs is seeing the disadvantage of 8 rack here. Had all of us set up, our opponent managed to kill 2 of our Tinybones. And then we sort of just top decked kind of poorly. We had the castle, but the castle lost us quite a bit of life because we were forced to lose 2 additional life every turn because of Four.Vs. Yeah, opponent's got the madness as well. Opponent just had lethal on board. They obviously want to go off. Trying to drain us out. Yeah, opponent. Even attacking with the Blood Artist. We could have killed ourselves with castle, but let the Clerics have a win. Okay, mono black discard on the draw this time. And yeah, I like this hand. We have one of our payoffs in Tinybones and later on Liliana. Sort of like a rack effect. If your opponent can't discard. A little bit more narrow. But we have some early interaction, so we're going to keep. Really hoping that we're against a creature list here, so the Extinction Event and Fatal Push can do something. And hoping to God that our opponent doesn't have turn 1 Four.Vs. Oh no, Mountain. Ah, okay, so opponent's on the aggressive mono red. Probably going to Four.Vs. We still lose a little bit of life, but maybe we can take something relevant off our opponent. And I think like Robber's going to be good. And then Extinction Event can mop up all the 1-drops. We might Fatal Push next turn. Since if our opponent deploys both of these Soulscar Mages, then we can't really stop them. And they're going to draw a ton of cards. So yeah, if we play out Tinybones here to block the Bowmat Courier, our opponent likely just plays Soulscar Mage and Lightning Strikes the Tinybones, and we take 2-3 overall. I mean, we sort of waste the point of burn, and then we can push next turn. Maybe that's actually just better. Just trying to hold out to this Extinction Event, I think. Our opponent could Bone Crusher Giant instead. Nixifid not that great against Soulscar Mage since it puts counters on it. Yeah, gonna do that and probably just play the Soulscar Mage. Okay, so land is great here. So we're just going to play Fable Passage and push the Bowmat Courier. And hopefully our opponent just plays like a Bone Crusher Giant out. And then we get to just Extinction Event next turn, wiping away the whole board. Our opponent could opt to just Lightning Strike here and deal us a ton of damage. They're not going to. Yes, opponent. Play right into our trap. So, opponent probably not playing around Extinction Event. They shall be punished for such. So, go to 2 Soulscar Mages. I think we're just going to go... Yeah, we're just going to go Nixifid. Try and close the game as quickly as possible. Nixifid really difficult for our opponent to answer, being in mono red. They sort of have to use Soulscar Mage to put counters on it. Opponent's going to try and burn us out. I mean, of course they are. That's their game plan. If opponent empties their hand here, though, they're like 2 points off being dead if we draw land. Opponent might be trying to work out a way to answer this board, deciding whether they can burn us out quick enough or they need to tackle our board. I think they go for the short game, try and burn us out. So opponent has Robber. Chose not to attack. So we have definitely sufficient cards to just kill this Robber here. We could make our opponent discard, but I think we're going to not waste any time. Our opponent can kill the Liliana if they want, but I don't think that's going to be right to do. So opponent's going to go for the burn. So if our opponent can't kill us here, they are dead. Yeah, they're dead. If they can't... If they can kill Tinybones in response here, they're not dead. Unfortunately, if our opponent can kill Tinybones here, this is really unfortunate because we lose our Waste Not. And we can't attack with the Nixafid. Okay, opponent's going for face. I think they really should have killed Tinybones there. Since now they're just dead on board. And we get to win it with Tinybones. Nice. Sort of a refreshing victory there. Okay, mono black discard, and we're on the play in Historic, and I really like this hand. We have a second Tinybones, because the first one's normally a magnet for removal, so we'll keep. And we have turn 1 Four.Vs, so probably reason enough just to keep. Okay, so Gruul. I wonder if we take the... So if we take the Burning Tree, our opponent can go Burning Tree into Stomp, which isn't actually that powerful. Maybe we just take the Embercleave. But we can probably make our opponent discard the Embercleave. Maybe we just take the Stomp. And then we get to Elspeth's Nightmare. Maybe for that reason we take, like, Mammoth. I think it's probably clever to take the Stomp. And we need to hope to draw land anyway, so we can go Tinybones into Elspeth's Nightmare, kill the Burning Tree Emissary, and then the final one of the... Or the second Law counter can get the Embercleave. Nixafid should be good in this matchup. Hopefully it'll close the game quite quickly. But if our opponent didn't know what we was up to, they certainly do now with Tinybones. So, opponent top deck something to do with their mana. Oh, that is unfortunate. So, we're going to be a turn behind now. And it's quite likely that our opponent's going to be able to deploy this Embercleave before we can... Yeah. Before we can get this Elspeth's Nightmare off. So, we're taking 6 here. Opponent chose not to discard. Not going to block. So I really need to hit an untapped land next turn. So opponent has the land, so they're going to be Ember Cleaving next turn. So you probably kill the Pelt Collector. Is that right? Really unfortunate. We really needed to hit that land last turn. I mean, Liliana can come down, but we don't have the extra card in our graveyard. I guess our opponent's not going to go for the Ember Cleave. They'd rather have the Collector Company. Yeah, and I can understand why. Maybe we're chump blocking with Tinybones here. So we take 4 and go to 8. And our opponent gets the Ember Cleave next turn anyway. I think we're pretty dead. I guess our opponent doesn't get to Ember Cleave next turn. So I'll take that Ember Cleave, and I guess we Nixaphid. And we can block 2 things. And take 4. And then we get to kill something else with Liliana next turn. So opponent's going to discard and draw, presumably. Maybe they hit an Ember Cleave. So maybe we go like this and take 5. Because I think we have to kill the Gallia. We can take 4 and go to 3. Take 5 and go to 2. I guess we could go like this. Take 4. Then we can kill the Gallia in the next turn. And then they're attacking for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll be on 4. We get to kill 1 thing. So we're still dead. I don't really see our way out of this except from an extinction event. So if we're going for an extinction event, then probably just want to prioritize saving damage. But yeah, unlikely we're going to be able to pull through this, I think. Yeah, so we get to Liliana here and kill. If we kill the Zertar Goblin, we take 4 still. So yeah, it doesn't really work out. If we play Tiny Bones, we're just chump blocking, but yeah. And then our opponent just has Lethal on us. Yeah, and Gruul Spellbreaker to wrap it up. So, had we have hit the Elspeth's Nightmare on curve, might have been a bit better. Even though our opponent let us take the Ember Cleave anyway, but we would have got the Coco out of their hand. So, don't know, unless they top decked it for turn. Difficult to tell. Okay, we get to go first, and yeah, this hand looks really good. I really like Tinybones and Nixaphid, so yeah, let's keep this. And obviously turn 1 Four.Vs, so yeah. Ooh, mono white. Okay, so this Sarah Ascendant, unlikely that our opponent's going to get to trigger this before the Elspeth Nightmares kills it. So maybe we just take the Glass Casket. Or just like Banishing Light. I guess we take like the Glass Casket as our opponent's cheapest bit of interaction. But I guess this can only kill creatures. I don't know, our opponent's pretty Four.Vs proof there. I wonder... no, we'll play just Tinybones out. So opponent plays the Glass Casket. The other option was to like hold back our creatures until we've emptied our opponent's hand. But I think Elspeth's Nightmare duressing our opponent as well as unburdening is going to probably be enough. So what we'll do is we'll try and like clean our opponent's hand out before we play this Nixaphid and make sure the path is clear. Our opponent has a lot of interaction for a mono white list. Oh, they're just going to Elspeth's Nightmare that to stop the duress effect. So I guess we'll just unburden. And see what our opponent's got. They're only going to get to keep 1 card. Okay, so they got rid of a bit more of their interaction. They have tons of it. Linden, nice. So we can just kill the Linden here by playing Liliana, which I think I prefer above Tendrils, just to contribute to the board while also answering something our opponent has. And yeah, they're going to scoop it up there. Okay, we get to go first, and this hand is a little bit slow, but I think we're going to keep this. Maybe we'll just cycle the Unburden on 2. But we have a lot of removal. Hopefully our opponent's in like a creature matchup. Quite likely, they're playing Gigantha. Could be looking at like Goblins here. Oh, Mountain, probably Goblins. Or just like Mono Red. Yeah, Mono Red. I guess it's not going to be Goblins, since Goblins has a load of double converted mana costs. I guess we'll just hold on to the Fable Passage. Yeah, probably are just going to cycle this Unburden. Want to find some early interaction. Pyromancer. So yeah, let's just cycle this. Yeah, maybe we do cast this Unburden. And then hopefully mop up like Extinction Event next turn. Since Mono Red normally burns you out of their last card, or close to their last card, so maybe Unburden can just take away some points of burn. So they're getting rid of. Doesn't seem like a straightforward choice for them. Always good when it's tough. Okay, I don't know if our opponent like ran out of time there or not, but their time bar completely expired, so I don't know if these were forcibly discarded. Either way though, I'm happy with taking 6 points of burn away from them. Don't know if it'll be enough. We shall hope so. But our opponent's probably going to be like burning us again and attacking for 5. So we're pretty low. So opponent doesn't have a land. Okay, I like Soul Shatter plus Fatal Push. Could do it now. If our opponent has like a Wizard's Lightning, we get punished because they have 2 wizards out. Yeah, I guess I see no reason not to do it now. Our opponent's stuck on lands. Just mop up. We're on 10. Not the best life total, but we'll be alright. Being against burn as well, we probably don't want to be activating our castle leisurely. Maybe Davriel can sort of get us a bit more advantage. With our opponent like not hitting their land drops, it's likely that they just have gas in hand. And they probably can't deploy this skewer this turn. Oh, Lava Runner, nice. Just gonna Extinction Event on Odd. Don't really want to draw any more lands, so we'll just play out the Fable Passage now. So 2 cards for our opponent. Could be just 6 points of burn. Waiting to hit lands for them. Could be like Wizard's Lightnings. Okay, we've got a Shock. Try and take some of these cards away from our opponent. Okay, so a Braid is one of them. Oh, okay, so falling to 3. I guess we shouldn't really activate Castle because we can die to Shock. We'd also die to like Pyromancer, a Hasty Threat if we fall into 1. Goblin Chain Whirler if opponent's running that. Looks like a pretty bog standard burn list. Okay, I don't know why my opponent took us so long to to cast that. They had lethal. Yep. I think burn's one of our harder matchups. We don't have much life gain in the list. And we really need to play a long game. Okay, against Gigantha the Wellspring, so maybe burn? Burn seems like a good shout, but I think we're going to keep this from the turn 1 Four.Vs. Elspeth's Nightmare might be quite good against burn as well as Unburden. Kind of need like a Waste Not or something to sort of gain some card advantage over them. Oh, yes, it's burn. So probably take the Gitu Lava Runner, and then Elspeth's Nightmare will kill the Runaway Steamkin. Opponent might choose to shock. Yeah, upkeep shock. No, end step shock. Okay. So, Runaway Steamkin, come on down. Yes. Do you want to cycle this Unburden? I don't think so. I think I still like the discard too. Okay, so pair this aggressive discard with a Nixophid, and we might be able to take this down. Burn, not one of our better matchups. So, burn, 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 burn. Probably take the Wizard's Lightning just because it's so cheap. Nixophid is currently going to be a 3/3 when our opponent draws. We could take the 2, take the 3, and fall to 9. If our opponent draws a land and just unburden 2 of these cards away, and then Nixophid's even stronger next turn. So opponent just keeps a Lightning Strike here. And then, yeah, hopefully with Nixophid next turn, we're going to be able to just take over. So Waste Not would have been a really good turn 2 play, but not so much on turn 5 when our opponent is empty-handed. So, yep, they get to just cycle here. Another land. Just put Gigantha into their hand. Oh! I don't think our opponent was out of that by any means. I think they got some top decks they can get out of that with. Okay, we get to go first with mono black discard, and you can't turn up a hand with a Waste Not in it, so let's keep. And even when we get to curve into Davriel, pretty good. And I think we're just going to play his Fable Passage on turn 1. We're against Lewis of the Dream Den, and hopefully our opponent doesn't have a turn 1 Thoughtseize. I don't know if we should be like trying hard and Fable Passaging in our opponent's end step, but I'm just going to do it now. Okay, likely to be like auras. So, Waste Not might be quite good in this matchup. Since our opponent's always going to have stuff to discard. Soul Shatter is going to be good as well. Let our opponent slam a load of auras, and then we will Soul Shatter. Nixophid, not going to be great, since our opponent normally has a lot of cards in hand. We're going to have to work super hard to get this going. Yeah, Core Spirit Dancer. So, the question is, do we Soul Shatter now? Or do we wait? I think we wait. So, our opponent will get to draw, but otherwise our opponent could just slap all of it on the Elsaid. I guess, maybe it was a mistake, because it gives our opponent the opportunity to draw into another Core Spirit Dancer. Yeah. We just get the extra value of like wasting all of these auras. We'll let our opponent go to combat. So maybe do it now, so our opponent doesn't get the 1/1. Otherwise, it like threatens our Davriel a bit more. I don't know. Probably should have killed the Core Spirit Dancer before we went to our opponent's turn, because now they could draw into another one. They can't play it this turn, but still. So I think I like just get Liliana out there. And yeah, I think I like just uptick. We could downtick and put like just wipe the board. And then we get to like double uptick next turn. Is that just better? Yeah, let's downtick. Feels bad if our opponent like protection spells here. But if our opponent like discarded a land there, we wouldn't really have much to do with that. But next turn we get to get quite a bit of discard off. So yeah, I couldn't have killed this Core Spirit Dancer even if we wanted to. But we run a ton of Soul Shatters and Extinction Events. And even Fatal Pushes. Though like Fatal Push is targeted, so our opponent could probably have a protection spell. Opponent's not worried about a removal spell though. They're gonna tap down. Okay, let's have a look. What do you got, opponent? What would you like to grant us? Maybe a land? No, you're going to let us draw a card. Nice. I like that. Can we have another card? Please, opponent. Another card. Oh, yes. Thank you. So, unfortunately, we don't get to do anything else. Let's see if our opponent wants to kill one of our Planeswalkers here. Oh! Opponent's going to maybe kill us with another All That Glitters. Opponent has it. And exactly lethal. Oh, love it. Could have found one of our removal spells. We managed to answer one of the Core Spirit Dancers, but second one, a bit too much. Howdy guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy this? 8-rack in Historic. Is this a thing, or is this something that needs a few more tools to make work? Do we actually need the rack? Probably, but Tinybones is still really fun to play with. Davriel's here, Waste Not's here. We have Liliana as a semi-good sort of 8-rack effect, so maybe it can work. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and let me know if you think there should be any changes to the list. Did Tendrils of Corruption work out? I think it was okay. We didn't really see it in action too much, because I think we probably should be running 4 of them to try it out, but maybe it's something we just need to cut and get serious for a change. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and if you did enjoy the video, maybe consider dropping it a like and subscribe. Entirely up to you, but I'm just glad you guys are still here enjoying it, so I guess that's proof in itself. But yeah, remember, we upload a video every day. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have lists like this. Tuesdays and Thursdays are Control. And weekends are drafting. So if you're watching this on release date, which is a Friday at the moment, then catch me tomorrow and Sunday on Twitch. Or just head over to the YouTube channel to catch them draft videos going up. So always a reason to stop by and check it out. But yeah, I am just rambling now. I should probably make these endings a little bit more concise. But yeah. That's just it, and that's what's coming up. So until next time, guys, stay safe.